Hey y'all, welcome to the Clock Tower. I'm Colton, here with Brandon. 5 cards, 5 minutes for Mushoku Tensei, uncommons, commons, and trial deck cards. Brandon, what is our first card?
First up, we have the talented swordsman Paul. If this card is in your front row, all of your characters get 1500 power. It comes with twin drive, so pay 1, trigger twice. And it also has the ability, when your opponent swings in for that damage, if that damage is canceled, you mill the top card. If that card has a soul trigger on it, ditch a character from hand, and you're able to then deal damage to your opponent that they just tried to deal to you. So it's a very much a kind of counter card that reflects damage, the kind of idea that we've seen before, but put onto a pretty decent standby target that can also boost up your whole field, with itself sitting at 10. But if you have multiple power pumps throughout the game, you're able to get this even higher.
How is this on an uncommon? This thing is functionally, because it gives that 1500 to everybody, a 3/2 10k that gives everybody else 1500 when it's in your front row, and it has twin drive, and it has reflect damage. It's usually going to be played in that standby list with a bunch of soul triggers anyway, so it's a really good profile. If there are any weaknesses, it's that the reflect damage doesn't always go off, but even if it doesn't, you don't have to ditch, because you do the mill first. Next, Rudy's Home Tutor Roxy. It's a 2/1, 6000 power, gains 1000 for each other 6-sided world character. On attack, combos with Book, reveal the top card of your deck. If that card is an event or a 6-sided world character, put it into your hand. Do that twice. Basically, it's just the level 1 coterie combo from Dal, but appropriately costed, because it's on a 2/1 that is also on a less good trigger. So this is still, we're looking at, a +6 combo, but it's a +3 combo now because you have to pay a stock in order to get it down. I don't think it's going to get played, but it's at least an interesting option in like a Roxy waifu kind of build.
It is a really interesting option, especially because of how delayed it comes down on the field. You're definitely drawing into these potential cards later part of the game, so not having that kind of selectivity in the late game is also kind of hurt as well. Next up, we have Chant Roxy. On play, heal, as well as when this card attacks, you can pay 2, ditch 2 to deal 2 damage. It is a little expensive for that burn 2, but not having to require climax is actually pretty nice here. So it can kind of just be a little splash into just about anything you run.
This is becoming kind of the standard trial deck off finisher. We're seeing it in most trial decks these days, or something pretty similar to it. It's fine. It's one of those things that's going to be on the periphery of maybe I run this as a one-of just so I can have a little bit more selective damage. It's something that people will consider. I don't know if it makes its way into anyone's final deck list. Next, a 3/5 event called Man God. If you do not have a 6-sided world character, you can't play it. You perform each of the following actions one time in any order. You can either, as part of the first effect, choose an opponent's character, stand it, and move it, or choose 2 of your opponent's characters and swap them standing. The second thing you can do is stock swap. The third thing you can do is a half Fumio. You take a climax from your opponent's waiting room and shuffle everything back into the deck. This is a lot. It's a very expensive cryptic command. I don't think this gets run at all, except as like a meme.
This doesn't put characters on field, which makes this much less appealing. Last up, we have the Sylph. It's a 2/1 counter. You can choose one of the following effects and perform it. So by itself is a 2/1 that grants one of your characters 4000 power. If you ditch one of these from hand, it turns this into a money counter, so they can't deal damage to you on their turn.
Yeah, this is probably technically the cheapest money counter we've ever seen. It's also impossible to run in a meta list just because it requires you basically to run 4 copies of this. Pay 1, pitch 1 money counter is incredible, but because you have to pitch this specific thing, which is only really useful in that context, we're just not gonna see it. There's no bonder to it. This shows up in like mono green Sylph waifu, and that's probably about it. And that's all we got. Thank you for joining us. We will be back on Tuesday for Weiss 101, gameplay on Thursday, another Clock Talk the following Tuesday, and in 2 weeks, 5 cards, 5 minutes, for Hololive. We're going to get our first look at rares and double rares. Until next time, thank you so much for joining us. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and have a good one.
We'll see you then.